Hello everyone and welcome to our live podcast session, Scrolling Politics. Today our topic is how social media shapes the way young people see and engage politics. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Since this is a live show, so you can feel free to drop your questions or comments in the chat at any time. We will also have a dedicated Q&A segment later. We will respond directly to your thoughts. So with me today are three amazing people. First, let me introduce my co-host for this session, Suki.
Hi everyone, I'm really excited to be here. I do not co-host every single episode, but because today's topic is so closely tied to young people and digital culture, it felt like the perfect fit for me to join in. I'm looking forward to hearing the different perspectives we have lined up today.
Great to have you here, Suki. So next, we are joined by our invited guest, Stella. She is here to share her perspective as someone who study and teach political communications.
Thank you, Jia Seng. Hello everyone. I'm very glad to be part of this discussion. Political communications and social media is one of my main research areas, so I hope to provide some context and insights on how these platforms are reshaping politics, especially for young people.
Thank you, Stella. And finally, we have Theng with us. So she is representing the voice of Malaysian University students to give us a closer look of how young people like her are experiencing politics in their daily life.
Hi everyone. I'm really happy to join this session. As a student, I get to see how friends and peers are influenced by social media in the way they talk about politics or sometimes avoid it. Also, I spend a lot of time scrolling, so I will share some of those experiences tonight, and I hope they give a clearer picture of how this looks on the ground.
Perfect. So let's get started with our first part, which is about how we see politics on social media. Stella, can you help us set the stage? How do scholars usually explain the way media influence why people notice?
Sure. Two important ideas are agenda setting and framing. Agenda settings means the media influences what people think about. Framing is about how issues are presented. In the past, editor decided what got attention. Now algorithms do a lot of that work because they push content that create engagement. So, if a protest clip, a political joke, or a short speech goes viral, it gets pushed into many young people's feeds, sometimes even more strongly than traditional news.
So the algorithm is like an invincible editor. I remember during GE15, many of my friends who had never followed politics suddenly repeated politician memes from TikTok.
Exactly. Short and emotional content spread very fast. A minute or 50-second clip can give young people their first impression of a candidate or policy. Yes, I felt that. For me, I first knew some candidates because of TikTok videos, not from newspapers. At first, it was funny or catchy, but then I looked them up. The meme was my entry point. It made politics less scary, but sometimes it was too simple and I did not really get the full story.
That is interesting. Did you ever see content that made you believe something quickly?
Yes, I remember a short video claiming that a party wanted to cut student subsidies.
Kerajaan datang dengan solusi untuk tarik subsidi-subsidi yang diberikan kepada pelajar-pelajar MRSM, SBP dan juga IPTA dan juga semua institusi-institusi
It was
pendidikan di
dramatic
bawah
and
salinan
many
kerajaan.
of my friends reposted it. At first, I was angry, but when I checked proper news sources, it turned out to be exaggerated. That made me more careful later.
That is a very real example. Stella, is simplification always a bad thing?
Not always. Simplifications help people pay attention, but it can also mislead. One problem is echo chambers. Platforms often show us contents that fit our previous views. During GE15, some monitoring groups reported that TikTok was filled with emotional charged messages, including ethno-religious rhetoric. Once they spread, they were very hard to correct.
Yes, I remember that. People share things quickly without checking.
My friends and I talk about those posts in the dorm. Some believed them, some doubted them, and we argue a lot. Social media became the first space where we noticed these issues.
Thank you. So the way young people see politics in being shaped not only by what is trending, but also by how it is framed and simplified. Now let's move to the second part. How does seeing politics online turn into actually doing politics?
Here we will surely talk about two things: digital mobilization and activism. Digital mobilizations is when actions lead to real events like voter registration drive, student dialogues, elections rallies, or even volunteering for a campaign. Activism is when people only click like or share but do not go further. Both are real, but mobilizations has more impact.
That makes sense. Theng, have you seen online campaigns that make you join something offline?
Yes, during GE15, I came across an Instagram post about a one-day student dialogue with our Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, organized by the IUM and UM student unions. I decided to go with one of my friends, and after the event, we shared about it on Instagram. Some of my classmates saw our post and later asked about our experience, which led to more discussions with them. That shows how a single event promoted on social media can spark real participation offline.
Yes, I agree with that. I have also seen similar cases. Take Mun Yee 18, for example. It's the movement that successfully lowered Malaysia's voting age from 21 to 18. During GE15, they ran Instagram campaign like #YGE15, where people were encouraged to share why voting matters. And the impact went beyond social media. As reported in the Malaysian Insight, many students actually lined up to check their voter registration, and Undi 18 estimated that about 75% of youth turned out to vote in the GE15. That shows how online campaigns can really drive offline participation.
Exactly. Online campaigns lower the barrier to participation. They can take someone from awareness to talking about politics to attending a rally or voting. Party stimulation movies. That is why politicians and campaigns learn into this by using social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, X to reach youth through short creative content.
Suki, you have been looking into the studies on the links between online and offline political participation. What insight have you found?
Referring to June 2023, online political talk can strengthen internal political efficacy. That is, people's confidence in their ability to engage in politics. And that confidence really matters. From the German longitudinal election study found that increasing political knowledge boosts internal political efficacy, which indirectly leads to greater political participation like voting or joining political activities. In that sense, online campaigns don't just spread awareness, they help people feel capable, and that confidence often carries over into offline participation. Of course, this works best when there are also peer influences, trust in the political process, and clear opportunities to get involved.
I think peer influence also matters a lot. Even though online campaigns can boost our confidence to get involved, sometimes when I see a post, I feel like not doing anything. But when my classmates talk about it in class, it reinforces that confidence and pushes me to act.
Exactly. Online exposure gives people the sense that they can participate, but peer groups, trust in the political process, and clear opportunities are what really turn that confidence into real-world action.
So politics online doesn't just stay online, it builds confidence and awareness. And with the right support from peers and contacts, it can spill over into meaningful offline participation. Now, for our third part, the risk and responsibility of political communication on social media.
One big risk is misinformation and manipulation. During GE50, many targeted ads and emotional posts were pushed to young masses. These often try to create fear and anger that can increase turnout for some, but it can also discourage others.
Yes, I remember reading reports from CIJ and other groups. They showed how quickly disinformation spread on TikTok. Some of it was ethno-religious content that was very divisive.
I saw that too. In my WhatsApp groups and on TikTok, some videos looked convincing at first. My friends shared them without checking. Later, when we realized they were fake, some felt embarrassed, others just laughed. But the damage was already done.
That is why digital literacy matters. It is not enough to know how to use social media. We also need to question sources, slow down before sharing, and ask who made this message.
Yes, for me, I learned to ask, is this from a real news site or just a random account? When something was dramatic, I tried to double check before believing it. Some of my friends are not that careful and sometimes they get misled.
This is what scholars call civic digital literacy. It is about being an active and critical citizen online. The more young people practice this, the less effective manipulated campaign will be.
And there is also the question of authenticity. Theng, do you think young people trust official ads or posts from their friends more?
Definitely from friends. When a student posts about an event, people trust it more. Polished ads feel distant, but grassroots posts feel real. For example, when a senior posted about going to vote for the first time, it motivated many of us.
Yes, I agree with that. Authenticity makes a big difference.
So risks are real, but responsibility is also possible. Young people can shape the online space by being careful, critical, and authentic. Alright, now we have come to our Q&A session. Just a reminder, we already received some questions earlier, but if you are watching us live, feel free to keep dropping your question in the chat. We will try to respond as many as we can. So here's the first one. Sometimes I feel like politics online is just fighting and negativity. Do you think social media can also make young people more hopeful about politics?
That's such a real question. Honestly, yes, a lot of feeds are noisy, but I also think we see stories of hope there. Like when young Malaysians organize donation drives or flood relief through Instagram and Twitter, I felt politics wasn't only about fighting, it was also about community action.
I agree. For me, I saw friends post about volunteering during the election. Even simple stuff like helping my parents check polling information. It gave me the feeling that young people can actually make a difference, even in small steps. That's hopeful for me.
And from a research perspective, that's consistent with studies that show social media can strengthen civic identity when young people see peers engaging positively. So it's not only about polarization, it can nurture empowerment too.
Great points. Next question. Do you think sharing political memes or short videos really counts as participation, or is it just for fun?
Oh, I do this a lot. For me, memes are a way to join the conversation. Even if I don't write a long opinion post, sharing a meme says I care about this issue. Sometimes that even starts discussions with my friends.
Exactly. We shouldn't underestimate those small actions. Not everyone is ready to go to a rally, but resharing content can be the first step towards more active involvement.
Awesome. Final question before we wrap this session. What advice would you give to young Malaysians who want to engage politically online but are afraid of making mistakes?
I'll say just start small. Share your thoughts or join a student discussion group. It's okay not to know everything at once. We are all learning.
Yes, and don't pressure yourself to be an expert. Focus on being curious, respectful, and willing to listen. That already makes your online space healthier.
And remember, democracy thrives when citizens practice. Mistakes are part of learning. As long as you verify information and stay open-minded, your participation matters.
Thanks everyone, and thanks to our viewers for such thoughtful questions. This really shows how live interaction adds depth to the conversation.
Alright, we had such a rich and lively discussion tonight. From how young people see politics online to how they actually take part, I think we have covered a lot of ground. So more importantly, it was great hearing both the research perspective and also real student experiences that make this topic come alive.
I want to thank our amazing panel, Stella and Theng, for sharing your thoughts and stories with us. And of course, a big thank you to everyone who joined us live. Your questions really shape the flow and make this conversation interactive, just the way we hope it would be.
If you enjoyed today's sessions, do follow us so you won't miss the next live episode. And remember, your engagement makes this space meaningful. So thank you again for being here.
It was really fun to co-host this one. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, thank you for listening and interacting with us.
Thanks for having me here. It was a really eye-opening experience to share as a student.
Alright, let's all say goodbye together. Bye bye.